The Earth's atmosphere is made up of about 21% oxygen. But even then, human life just isn't possible without this very gas. But what if things went wrong one day? In this video, we're taking a look at exactly what would happen if the world lost oxygen for 5 seconds. The truth is that oxygen isn't just vital for humans to breathe, but the entirety of the planet Earth depends on this gas to keep functioning normally. Which means that if the world was to be deprived of oxygen for a mere 5 seconds, it would result in unimaginable disasters. First of all, the sky would lose all its light. Why? Well, that's because light from the sun can only reach the Earth in the form of several reflections when small light particles bounce off of particles in the air, such as dust, air impurities, and the most important one of them all, oxygen molecules. So when there's no oxygen anymore, this means that the number of particles for this light to bounce on is greatly reduced. And as a result, the sky would start to grow dark, even if it's the middle of the day. But at the same time, there will still be light on this plane. It will just seem to be coming from a single pointed direction instead of being spread out all over. Sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi film, right? The second thing that's going to happen is that the Earth's outermost layer, or the crust as we know it, will start to crumble under our feet. About 45% of the Earth's crust is made of oxygen, and when the gas is nowhere to be found, it only makes sense for the foundation of our planet to start falling apart as well. Then anyone who decides to go out for a bit of sun will receive horrible sunburns within seconds because ozone, the gas that prevents toxic UV rays from the sun to penetrate the Earth's atmosphere, is made entirely out of molecular oxygen. And once that's taken away, there's absolutely no layer of protection between us and the sun's harmful radiation, turning us all into toast, literally. With the depletion of oxygen, we would lose about 21% of the total air pressure that we have right now. And if that's hard to understand, it would be pretty similar to jumping from sea level to being at the top of the Andes mountain, almost 2,000 meters up, putting a huge amount of stress on your eardrums, causing them to explode, affecting our hearing permanently. And while all of this is happening, any and all vehicles running on fuel that require internal combustion engines, which basically means all vehicles besides EVs, will completely stop working because there just isn't any oxygen left for the combustion engines to keep running. Not just cars, but planes, helicopters, rockets, and even space shuttles will start falling from the sky because their combustion engines won't have any oxygen to work with. All the metals in the world will also start behaving weirdly once there's no oxygen around us. The reason why metals don't stick to each other is that they are coated in a layer of oxygen that prevents them from welding to each other naturally. But with all the oxygen in the world gone, there's nothing that stops two pieces of metal from being welded into one under vacuum conditions. And well, let's just say that this would create some pretty interesting and inconvenient situations on top of all that lack of oxygen. Then every single structure made out of concrete will slowly start to crumble and fall down because oxygen is one of the most important binders when it comes to concrete compositions. Without the gas, no structure is going to be able to retain its rigidity and will ultimately fall in on itself. But that's still not all, because after that, all the oceans and water bodies in the world will slowly start evaporating into space. Now all the water in the world is made up of 2 parts, hydrogen and 1 part oxygen. With all the oxygen gone, water would just turn into free hydrogen gas, which is the lightest of all elements. As a result, the hydrogen gas will rise up and start evaporating into space, turning the Earth into a big ball of barren land with no water to sustain any kind of life. Now, because all this can happen in the span of 5 seconds without oxygen, it's safe to say that oxygen isn't just vital to human beings, but it's the very foundation of the world that we live in. That's a wrap for What If the World Lost Oxygen for 5 seconds. What did you think of today's video? See you next time with something new, and until then, goodbye.